Time to piss off a lot of people with my controversial Smash Bros. Melee opinions. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for another commentary, and this time we're doing a sequel to the Super Smash Bros. Commentary that I made last year with Super Smash Bros. Melee. A game that, like I said in the last commentary, the last Smash Bros. Commentary, is my least favorite Smash game, and coming back to record for this commentary, my opinion still stands. Now, I should make one thing very clear right off the bat. Just because it's my least favorite Smash game does not mean that I do not enjoy the game. No, there are plenty of things about Super Smash Bros. Melee that I really enjoy. I really enjoy the character roster in spite of the clones. I enjoy the stage variety. I enjoy the aesthetic. I enjoy the visuals. I enjoy a lot of the stuff that Melee has to offer. But there are so many things about it that leave me irked, and yeah, they're a result of the game being extremely rushed, only having 13 months of development, and this is on top of being, well, I'm not gonna say exactly a launch GameCube title, being a title that was released very close to the GameCube's launch, that looks way better than the original Super Smash Bros., which came out only like 2 years prior, and it being a game that had so many expectations on top of it that naturally, because of the crunch development time, it ended up suffering in some occasions, I'd say. But you guys may be wondering, how will this commentary go? Will we be doing something similar to the last one? Well, kind of. Well, I'll start off with things in a simple matter with the classic modes, run of classic mode, which I was gonna make the runs of classic mode, adventure mode, and all-star mode on normal, but I don't have as much confidence in this game compared to the original Smash Bros. Game, so I decided to just put them on easy. Not very easy because I didn't feel like it. Or did I put something on very easy? Actually, I don't remember. Nor do I care because I'm just showcasing stuff. But back to what I was saying. I start off with a run through of classic mode, then I do a run through of adventure mode. Then I pause to do other things because I decided to leave all-star mode to be the very last thing in this playthrough. So in the middle, I think what I do is that I participate in some stadium events. I participate in some matches here and there. Not as many as the ones I did in Smash 64. And I mean, I really did I think I did like 5 matches in my Smash 64 commentary, because the game doesn't have that much single player content. By comparison, Melee has a lot of single player content, and that I appreciate. I also showcase some events, not all of them. I mean, there's 51 in total, so I think I ended up showcasing like 3. One of them, the very first one that you get, which is a simple Mario versus Bowser fight. Then one of the trophy tussles, I think it was the first one I showcased. And then the last event 51, which it took me like 3 top tries to get it right, but I added those other attempts out, just for the sake of simplicity for this commentary. And another thing I'll have to say is I have to apologize for the footage. While the footage itself, the visuals are completely fine, after a while, the audio started crackling, and there was nothing I could really do besides re-record a lot of the segments, and I decided it was not worth it. So, depending on how I do this after I'm done recording my voice, the audio for this one will probably be way lower than normal, just so you guys don't notice the crackling, so it doesn't distract from my voice or anything else. I apologize for the inconvenience right away, but it is something I can really fix. So, I apologize. But yeah, my objective with this Melee commentary was really to try and showcase as many of the newcomers as possible, because we did have a big increase in the number of characters we got to play. We went from 12 to 25, 26, because one of the characters is Zelda, who can transform into Sheik, which has her own unique movesets. So yeah, that's pretty cool, right? But hey, I decided to start off with Marth, because one of the characters I was playing for Smash 64, I tried to do is break the target stage, and I failed at the last fucking moments. And this is something that I really noticed while I was recording this commentary, is that the controls of Melee feel so weird to me, like compared to any other Smash Bros. Game. The controls of Melee, because of how fast the game is, it really is hard for me to get a grip on the controls. Like, okay, to be fair, I did not play this game using a GameCube controller. I used it using different means, uh, because well, it's difficult for me to play this game officially, considering that Nintendo has not re-released it at the time of this recording, and the game also goes for very high prices. I do not have a GameCube. I do not have a Wii that could play GameCube games. I don't have a Wii in general. I have a Wii U, and this is how I recorded it. But by the fact that I had to use a Wii U, I had to get the game via. I had to play the game via interesting methods, and even though the emulation is pretty good, I did notice. I think there were some graphical issues here and there, very minor shit. Like for example, I believe Fox and Falco's up B, which is they go into a fire, which involves fire. The textures came out as purple instead of reddish orange. So there were some issues here and there, but again, very minor. Maybe you guys wouldn't even notice until I pointed out. But okay, might as well go into the main things. Like some people may be wondering, why don't I like Melee as much as the other Smash Bros. Games? And since I didn't go into this in my Smash 64 commentary, because I did say in that commentary that I wanted to leave those thoughts for later, I'll discuss them now. My experience with Melee is a very interesting one because, like I said in my Smash Bros. 64 commentary, I ended up playing the original Smash Bros. Late into 2014, around the time that Smash 4 was coming out, just so I could finally try out the series. And I had a good time with Smash 4. I still remember the memories I had going for all the characters. I still remember all the memories I had, having difficulties unlocking this. And then when I finally got them, I was so happy unlocking all the stuff. Even if there wasn't that much to unlock, and nowadays I can do it pretty easily, it still was a very memorable experience. Then the following year, in 2015, around the early 2015, don't know exactly when, I wanted to. I initially thought that I couldn't really emulate GameCube games on my PC. Again, this is before I had a Wii U. I didn't really have any other means to play them, so I had to resort to those. But I figured out a way to emulate GameCube games, and it was a bit of a hassle because the game didn't always emulate smoothly. It was still my old PC. I think my new PC could emulate these games fine, but I still didn't really emulate them on my PC. I had to go with the Wii U because with OBS it would probably lag. But I played the games. It didn't run the best. Sometimes they would crash. Sometimes Melee would crash. But I still try my best to unlock all the characters. And what doesn't help is the fact that I lost that save file I lost that save file, and then I lost that save file, another save file again later on the road, so I had to unlock the characters 3 fucking times, and it was not the greatest experience. I know that I could have used a cheat code, but I was one to try and do things faithfully, so I did. But unlocking all the characters, while I do appreciate the development team wanting the feeling of unlocking characters and stages to be much more complex than the ones found in Smash 64. And I also appreciate this game having alternative methods to unlock characters by playing a set number of matches as opposed to doing something within the single player, kind of like Tekken 3, which is really cool. I don't like unlocking many of the characters in this game. While some are pretty simple and others are pretty unique, unlocking Luigi, get it to finish the first stage of adventure mode within a certain time. Like the last digit of the seconds needs to be 3, I believe, and then finish that stage at the time, and then Luigi will appear in the following stage, and then after beating him, and after beating the adventure mode, you get Luigi. That's cool, you get to fight Luigi, and then you beat him. That's cool. But then there's characters like Mewtwo, both ways to unlock him, you need to be in versus mode. You either play 700 versus matches, which is fucking ridiculous, or you have a combined 20 hours in versus mode, which, if you have multiple controllers, that's not much of a problem. But imagine if you don't have multiple controllers. You basically have to waste so much fucking time unlocking just one simple character. And that's baffling. No. And in the stages, had to unlocking Congo Jungle, you have to survive a whole 15-minute melee because before I explain more, They brought over multi-man melee. So basically, they expanded on one of the last stages of the Smash 64 classic modes with the fighting polygon team and made that its own unique mode where you fight against a bunch of, well, in this case, wireframes. A bunch of dummies, basically. There's 10-minute melee, which is pretty simple. There's 100-minute melee, which, okay. There's 3-minute melee, there's 15-minute melee, there's endless melee, and then there's cruel melee, which basically, instead of them being easy to knock out, you are the one that's easy to knock out. They're all level 9 CPUs, so it's cruel. That's the title. How much can you survive? But 15 million melee is fucking ridiculous because anything could go wrong in that. Like, there's plenty of people who say, "Oh, use Donkey Kong down B," and it's like, okay, that's not a bad strategy. But the thing is that it's so easy for a bomb to just randomly come up and blow you to smithereens and completely ruin the run, and you having to do the whole thing all over again. Keep in mind, this is 15 minutes. It is too long. It's not 3 minutes. It's 15 minutes, all to unlock a simple stage. No, and thank God that we didn't really have stuff like that ever again. At least when it comes to characters and stages, because Brawl, there's still a challenge that that game introduced the concept of challenges. It was already a thing in Kirby era, right? Which was released after this game. It was actually Masahiro Sakurai's last game that he made at HAL Laboratory before he decided to leave the company to just make his own company and just being more independent. The challenges, and one of the challenges in Brawl was 15-minute, beat 15-minute Brawl. They changed things to Brawl, and then eventually they just stuck with Smash, which makes more sense because it's more universal. And okay, but at least it was just for a challenge, which in that game you can also use golden hammers to that you gain from certain challenges to unlock just take care of challenges without even doing the things. I did an explosion because this was where the game started using crackling audio, and the game was just running like shit. So I decided, fuck it, let's just. I should have had the hindsight to skip the credits at first, but I decided, fuck it. That's what it is, and yeah. But yeah, with classic mode done, let's go on to adventure mode. Before I detail that, once again, there was that, but at least it was for the challenges because. And there's another thing about Melee. 100% of this game, while I've never done it, is insane. Like, compared to any other Smash Bros. Game. Even, like, okay, there's Brawl, which, just takes time, but eventually you get there. There's Smash 4, which 3DS is simpler than Wii U. And Wii U is hard, but at least you can do it as long as you have the skill. For Melee, it's not only hard, but time-consuming. Really time-consuming. Like, too much. It asks you for the stupidest shit. Like, okay, so this game introduced trophies, which, I've been picking up, which is really cool. They're a form of collectible. There's 290 in total. 292 if you count the ones that you can't get legitimately because, they were given out in events, so don't bother. 290, alright? There's 290 trophies, and you can get them via a variety of ways. There's character-specific trophies you get from the fighters. You get a trophy, like for example Mewtwo. You get a trophy for him if you beat Classic Mode with him. You get a trophy for beating Adventure Mode, and you get a trophy for him for being All-Star. Alright, that's all fun and dandy. But if you want 100% this game, you gotta beat Classic Mode, Adventure Mode, and All-Star Mode with every character, which is super tiring. With Classic Mode, I don't mind so much because this Classic Mode, I'll say, it's way better than Smash 64. It doesn't have this charm that I think that one has, but functionally, it is way better. But then there's Adventure Mode, which I'll say, conceptually, I really like Adventure Mode. You go through stages, through various Nintendo universes, that's all fun and dandy. The problem is that not only is this Adventure Mode as long as Classic Mode was in Smash 64, but there's way more characters to go around, and Adventure Mode, unfortunately, feels kind of half-baked, in my opinion, because for every stage, no. Like, most of the stages are fights that you would experience in Classic Mode, because there are some stages like the one you saw previously where, it was running for Magic Kingdom. That's cool. I like that kind of stage. There's the Underground Maze, there's the F-Zero Grand Prix, all cool. But then there's so many other stages where it's just fight these characters. Oh, maybe fight that character. Or, oh, Kirby is big now, fight him. It's not interesting. It's just the same shit over again. And now imagine doing that with every single character. You guys may be saying, well, you don't need to do with every single character because, you don't need 200% this game. And it's like, fair. But as a person who does like to experience this modes completely and likes to experience every character, yeah, no, that sucks. And I didn't like it. I, honest God, did not like it. And that's one of the reasons why I didn't like this game as much as the others, because it is a chore to do something as simple as beat classic mode, adventure mode, and all star with every character, especially adventure mode. All star, I will say, is okay, especially because you find more characters as you go along. So the potential time that it would take to beat the mode is lessened, and that is something I will not brawl against. Is that it takes a while to go through that game's all star mode, but well, at least brawl, in my opinion, is not nearly as fatigue, because not only don't you have to worry about adventure mode, because that in that game it's just a story mode, so you don't need to beat as every character, just go along. And I legitimately enjoyed the Subspace Emissary, even like, it's not even because of the cutscenes. I just enjoy playing through that mode, pure and simple. I like it. Like, it has its flaws, yes, but I enjoy it. I'll get more into that whenever I do that brawl commentary, which maybe I'll bring some people with me, but eventually. I also don't expect a brawl commentary anytime soon. I'm not even sure if I'll do one this year or if I'll just save it for next year. Get the points. And whenever I do a brawl commentary, it will be in a completely different format from what we're seeing in Smash 64 and Melee. Because with Melee, I decided to showcase as many of the modes that I wanted that the game had to, because I was like, oh, whenever I do a brawl commentary, I probably wouldn't showcase them. And if I do, it'll probably be in a very small capacity. But again, I'll think about that later. But okay, that's another thing I don't like about Melee. It's the adventure mode. Another thing that I don't like about Melee is the events. Now, this is a controversial opinion, I realize, because I know a lot of people enjoy events in Smash Bros. Games. This was the first game to introduce them, and they put you in a variety of situations. Either you're fighting against someone with specific conditions, or you're fighting on a specific stage, like the trophy tussles I mentioned earlier, where you're pretty much on a stage that resembles the trophy you're about to get. There's the All-Star events, where you fight against characters from a specific group or category. And then, there's cool stuff, but the thing is, not only can the events get needlessly fucking hard, even harder than some of the events you get later, like I find event 50 and 51 easier than event 37. And event 37 involves you fighting against space-related characters, like Falco or Captain Falcon, or Ness even. And it's like, okay, sure, but the thing is that it gets too difficult. Like, I don't know what the fuck happened with that CPU. I don't know why it's so difficult, but it's so difficult that I legit. There were a couple points when I played this game when I was younger that I legit got super frustrated, and I hate that. I hate when I get super frustrated with a game like this. But I did, and I don't know why, but those events are just harder than 51. So there's a problem of difficulty balancing, and also there's events that are just fucking boring. Like, there's legit events. I forgot the name, but this is legit an event where you're Yoshi. You have to hold on a Yoshi gig for a minute while you're voting for the fighters. I don't know about you, but I don't find that very thrilling. Wow, you're just avoiding your fighters while carrying a Yoshi game. How thrilling, wowee. And even, I don't find that interesting. And there's a lot of events like that, where they're just not very interesting conceptually. I will say that Brawl did make the events a bit better, but only because I don't feel like they're nearly difficult, and you can also play them. There's also a difficulty select for those events in Brawl. So I very much appreciate that. And in the challenges, you don't even have to complete many events in a specific difficulty. I think you only have to complete one event on hard mode, or a couple, if I'm mistaken, and that's it. Like, you're not forced to put up with bullshit difficulty. And even then, I don't remember finding some. And because you have the choice, you can choose which events you want to play on hard, and that I appreciate. I very much appreciate. So that's another problem I have with Melee. And another problem I have with Melee is more of a personal one, I'll admit. But it's really that the game, I feel like it's just too fast and too difficult for its own good. Difficult because a lot of the CPUs can be a bitch, and in events and stuff like that. And also, I didn't notice this as much before, but now, recording for this commentary, I really noticed that I was having, like I said earlier, I was having trouble getting a grip on the game. It felt too loose, It didn't feel as smooth as it felt in Smash 64. And yeah, Brawl was slow, but at least I felt in control of my actions with that one. It could have been a bit too slow in some aspects, and there's other problems that Brawl has, tripping. But we'll get to those later. I can still praise Brawl for what it is for a lot of reasons because Brawl, in my opinion, does so much right. Melee, this is on top of the many other problems this game has that leave me unsatisfied, well, generally unsatisfied with the experience. But again, like I said earlier, it's not like I don't enjoy this game. I do enjoy this game. It was fun. It was fun going through the game. When you're not thinking about 100%ing it, it's fine. But even if I mean, if you're not thinking about unlocking every character or stage, it's fine. But of course, you like to unlock every character in the stage, and it just gets tedious. In my opinion, it gets tedious or too frustrating or just unbearable. I don't like it, honestly. And if you don't want to go the single player routes and you just want to do versus matches, if you want to unlock everybody, you got to do 1,000 matches. And even if you go on the simplest route where you just you start a match with a low level CPU and you self destruct to end the match early, it's still gonna take you so long. And this is not even counting the trophies because I'm sorry, I went on a tangent earlier, so I did not even discuss the trophies too well. But okay, there's 290 trophies. You get them by doing various tasks, like the characters that I mentioned earlier, and all that, or by playing the lottery, and you get a chance of getting a trophy, or just getting them in classic mode, adventure mode, or all star. You can get trophies in plenty of ways, but there's also trophies that you get by doing specific tasks, like playing 100 coin matches, because this game introduces coin battles, which I will showcase later down this video, or other stuff. Problem is that there are some requirements that are so dumb that I even wonder why the fuck did you lock those certain trophies behind those? Like, it never gets as ridiculous, I promise. Like, one of the trophies literally requires you to own a copy of Pikmin, to have Pikmin save data on your GameCube or wherever place you play it, just so you can unlock a trophy. Like, you literally can't 100% this game unless you have a different game. Like, and Smash Ultimate does bring that issue back, but I'd say it's not as strong because I think eventually you got other ways to unlock that stuff. I think the only thing that's still locked behind a paywall is you owning a copy of Kingdom Hearts Melody of Memory to get a song for Sora. And I think that's still the only thing, like, because all the other things you eventually got to unlock them via different ways, and that's cool. At least they eventually made an alternative. I guess for that one song that you couldn't because of licensing things. I don't know how that works, but yeah, Smash Ultimate did bring that issue back. But Smash Ultimate, Melee is worse in my opinion because the Pikmin came out on the same day as Melee, and while Pikmin, is a very respected series now, especially with the launch of Pikmin 4. Pikmin came out on the same day as Melee. What game are you gonna buy? The sequel to one of the coolest concepts of all time, crossover between Nintendo characters, or this new IP that may not even tickle your fancy? Yeah, I don't think that's a difficult thing to answer. I don't think that's a difficult thing to answer. Most people would go for Melee, so they wouldn't have enough money to buy both games. So you're already being locked out behind something. And then there's another trophy, which is the bane of my existence, and I'll probably never get it. Something that made me realize that, yeah, I'm never gonna 100% this game, which is the Discon trophy. Now, I do like that a lot of trophies reference a lot of past characters. Even stuff that could be considered very niche. I mean, Marth and Roy being in the game was already, unknown for American audiences because Fire Emblem wasn't a thing in Western territories at that time. So it was thanks to Marth and Roy that the seventh Fire Emblem game got localized, and then the Fire Emblem series got up from there, and then eventually Awakening revived it. Fire Emblem is now a bigger franchise than it ever was, and that's awesome, amazing. Thing is that the Discon trophy references the Famicom Disk System mascot, which a lot of Western audiences wouldn't know because the Famicom Disk System was an accessory that was exclusive to Japan. That's how the first Zelda game, Zelda 1, Zelda 2, Metroid, Kid Icarus. That was the platform that originally those games came out on before they were ported to a cartridge form in Western territories for the NES. And it's cool that they have there's a there's a trophy related to it. But how you unlock it is the stupidest thing ever. So there was a thing that I didn't really mention in both this commentary and the last commentary, but I will mention now, which is the bonuses. So the bonuses, as you can see right now, after you beat the stage, you get a variety of bonuses by doing various different things. Either you could beat, for example, a match. You could start a match very quickly. You can either beat your opponent too quickly, or you beat classic mode quickly, or you clear with no damage, or you beat it on a certain difficulty, or you die in all the blast zones in the stage, or you shield yourself a lot of times. It's a lot of stuff. Or you end a match by taunting, which gets you the fighter stance bonus. That's the only one I can really remember off the top of my head. But you get by doing a lot of trivial shit. A lot. Thing is that if you want to unlock the Discount Trophy, you gotta get all of those bonuses. And there's not like 50 of them. No. There's over 200 bonuses for you to get, and a lot of them are stupid. Like being classic mode, adventure mode, or all-star mode by not taking it a single hit, which is so hard because you can get by the end and get hit and it destroys your entire run. Or beat it on very hard, which I mean, you can continue. I mean, there's a bonus for being in mode without continues, but you can do that on very easy. But being very hard, I hope you have enough cash, you have enough money that you get from battles, which it takes a good while to get a single fucking coin because the economy in Melee is super shit. But okay, I hope you have a lot of coins to burn so you can continue in that mode. While trying to beat that mode, any of those modes on very hard, because holy shit, it's like, God, like it's ridiculous. Or doing so many tasks like the dying through the blast zones, or shit that you wouldn't even know without a guide. Like, did you know that there's a bonus there's an item in this game called Hammer. There was a thing in Smash 64. They brought it back into Melee, and there's a bonus if you you tumble and you let go of the hammer, and you lose the hammer. There's a bonus for doing that. The thing is that you have to be knocked down by an opponent, which is already kind of hard to do with the hammer, because the hammer, kills opponents very easily. But okay, there's already one difficult step. But you also have to get hit, tumble on the ground, and press the guard button like very precisely as you're tumbling, because you have very few frames to do that, if not only one frame to do that. And then you tumble, and then by finishing that match, because you gotta finish the match to get the bonuses, then you finally get the bonus. Now imagine that for a lot of the trivial bonuses that you have in this game. I'm sorry, but no. Like, this is stupid. This is ridiculous. And there's also a lot of other stuff that people have realized since the game has come out that are really consequences of this game being rushed, like Mr. Game & Watch. Like, Mr. Game & Watch, being in the game is a very cool addition. He's a retro character from way back in the game, the oldest character in Smash, even older than Pac-Man, which was eventually brought into Smash 4. And that's cool. But the thing is that a shield, which is something that every character has, does not cover him completely, making it kind of shit. And that is, wow. And I'm not even going to start on stuff like wave dashing and stuff like that. I actually did attempt to wave dash a couple of times throughout the recording of this commentary, and I think I pulled it off a few times. Wave dashing, in case you don't know, it's pretty much what it says. You wave dash. You dash faster than you do by regular dashing, and you do it by jumping, which is up on the analog stick or one of the jump buttons, X or Y. Then you do an air dodge because there's in this game air dodge is you put yourself in free fall, so basically you're completely defenseless after doing them. So you have to be careful with air dashes, but you can angle them however direction you want, right? And by jumping and immediately, and when I say immediately, I say immediately, angling yourself diagonally down, and that's how you do it. But the thing is that you have to have a really, 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 really fast rhythm with this because it's kind of like frame perfect, honestly, or near frame perfect to do this. So that's why I don't really master it because I also don't play this game competitively, so I don't give a shit. But yeah, I mean, it is something that I believe the dev team did find in the game, but they decided to keep it in because they were like, there's not a problem to keep it in. I mean, they kept something like smooth landing in Smash 64, which smooth landing, what it was, is actually a better version of what we have in Melee, which is L canceling. But just to quickly explain what smooth landing is, you press the shield button as you, like, for example, you do a down air, okay? Or do an aerial, any kind of aerial, as you're landing in the ground, alright? If you press the shield button as you're landing in the ground, you have to get some decent timing. It's not too precise, but, it's somewhat precise. If you do it, if you press the shield button as you're landing on the ground, the animation will be cancelled out. The animation for you landing on the ground will be cancelled out, thus you are able to move faster. L cancelling is a weaker version of that because you only reduce, you only make the animation fast. You don't completely cancel out like it was in Smash 64. So that's why people call it L cancelling. And smooth landing was actually an official term that was coined by Nintendo in the official Smash 64 website, which should be archived in the Wayback Machine. You can find under the advanced moves smooth landing. It was actually an official thing, but I think it was because of how competitive Melee got that Nintendo did kind of go, yeah, maybe we shouldn't make the next game as as competitive as it was. And they went back on that because Smash 4 they came at like an intermediate point between the fast pacedness of Melee and the slowness of Brawl. And then ultimately was a bit faster, not as fast as Melee, but a bit faster than Smash 4. So they went back on that, but Melee did a lot of damage because it kind of went against what Smash was supposed to be, which is a more fun fighting game. Like fighting. Not all fighting games need to be competitive, all that stuff. And I know that this is not your traditional fighter, but it's a platformer fighter. It's still a fighting game at the end of the day. It's just a subgenre of fighting games. Like Metroidvanias are not less like to use an example, like Metroidvanias are not lesser action adventure games just because they're a subgenre of action adventure. No, just because they play different because they have platforming elements or they can have RPG elements and stuff like that. No, they're still action adventure games. They're just a subgenre of the action adventure genre. That's simple. The same applies to to platform fighters. Like platform fighters are not any less fighting games just because they're they have platforming mechanics and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm not into the competitive scene. I know that Melee did have a competitive scene for many years, but Nintendo has done a lot of stuff to shut it down, and this is one of those things that I'm just kind of neutral on. Like, yeah, I mean, it sucks that they're shutting down the competitive scene, but it's also like, move the fuck on from Melee. Just move the fuck on. Move the fuck on. So, but I mean, competitively, Smash is not really treated as seriously as other fighting games because Nintendo themselves don't only really want to do it by their rules, and that is not in my place to speak. Like, I'm not here to care about that kind of shit. Moving on. Moving on. I just mentioned because I just feel like I had to mention the competitive scene because it is an intrinsic part of Melee and why it's still played somewhat regularly to this day. Although I'm not even sure how played Melee is now because I still remember like early 2010s, the Melee free Melee or Revive Melee. There was a movement to revive Melee, and Melee stuck for a few years. But I'm not even sure if nowadays Melee is as played as it once was. I feel like in terms of popularity, the game just kind of lost its luster. But I'm not sure. I'm an outsider. I've not been researching that stuff because at the end of the day, I don't care. I don't care. Like I said in the last commentary, there was a time where I did care about the competitive scene, but it was a very short time and it was long ago, so it doesn't really matter anymore. Time to drink some water. Hydrate yourself, especially in these summer heats. Woo, boy. Like it's been hot over here in Portugal, so yeah. Thankfully, today doesn't seem to be as sunny as yesterday, but still, during the summer, hydrate yourselves. But yeah, now I'm showcasing the events, some of the events, and this is a trophy tussle, the first one where you fight on top of a Goomba. Guess which trophy you get after you beat this event? The Koopa Troopa trophy, that's right. But yeah, I find these events unique. The CPU can be a bitch in some of the later ones. Bring Ganondorf because he's a powerhouse. But, I find these to be interesting events. They never brought them back, unfortunately. But, oh well, I mean, like I already said in my opinion on events earlier, so. But, you know what? I feel like I should talk about the newcomers in this game because there was like I said earlier, there was a big increase. Like, a lot of franchises got a lot of more reps. Like, okay, so last time, for the Zelda series, we only had Link, but now we have Zelda, and she can transform into Sheik, Young Link, and Ganondorf, and that's a big increase. And actually, that kind of remained the same for a long time, huh? Like, in Brawl, Young Link was substituted with Toon Link. And then in Ultimate, Young Link was brought back because, everyone is here. But besides that, we haven't really had any new Zelda reps since. And, I mean, Impa, or... I feel like they should start to not be afraid to bring in a character that's only representative of one game. I think that's fine, okay, Link is now the rough wild self. So, how about you bring someone from Twilight Princess, like Minda and Wolfling? That wouldn't be too bad. Or Girahim. A lot of people wanted Girahim from Skyward Sword. He was one of the most memorable parts of that game, right? Why not, But, we got a lot of clones, and Ganondorf unfortunately suffered because he's a clone of Captain Falcon. And he would be less and less clone. He would become more of a semi-clone as the games went on. I mean, in Smash Ultimate, he finally got different Smash attacks. With his sword. He's got his sword! So that was cool, but I'm not sure if Ganondorf will be completely unclonified, quote-unquote, but as weird as it sounds, I actually kind of like Ganondorf's moveset. I would really, at this point, I would only change like one or two special moves from him, and maybe a couple of normal attacks would be different, but not much, honestly. Just Ganondorf has kind of had this sort of weird identity with Smash Bros. That really, I just kind of enjoy seeing him being this dumbass powerhouse Captain Falcon clone. It just finds funny, honestly. Yeah, I mean, it would be nice to have more Zelda references, and that's why I'd say, maybe his down B could be like the this hard punch he had in Ocarina of Time or something like that. But I kind of like Ganondorf being this weird powerhouse version of Captain Falcon. But what else? I mean, we got Fire Emblem representation. Marth was one of the characters that Sakurai wanted to put in Smash 64 alongside Bowser, Mewtwo, and King Dedede. And, we got 3 of those characters in this game. We got Mewtwo, we got Bowser, and we got Marth, and that was cool. And then, as a clone of Marth, we got Roy, which has fire properties to his attacks, and his up B can be kind of broken in this game, which is funny, but okay. And now the Western side could get introduced to Marth. And yeah, like, oh boy, I'm gonna redeem myself with this break the target stage by playing as Marth again and beating it, and then I die. 10. Gods. But no, that's why I wouldn't showcase break the targets with Marth, because it's like, okay, I lost this in before, let me redeem myself. But going back to what I was saying, is like, the Western side got finally introduced Fire Emblem. Mr. Game and Watch was added as a retro pick alongside the Ice Climbers, which is interesting because, like I mentioned in my very recent NES Extravaganza game, like Ice Climbers are really recognized for their Smash appearance, and they made Ice Climbers a tag team fighter, like a duo, like it's 2-on-1. If Popo dies, then they both die. But if Nana dies, you could still fight as Popo, but he's significantly weaker because, yeah, you need Nana to completely be like to have more of a chance as the Ice Climbers, and it can be kind of broken because they're telegraphs and shit like that. But the Yeah, and there's other characters like okay, so Pokemon got more characters like Pikachu and Jigglypuff return, but now we have Pichu as a weaker clone of Pikachu, and you have Mewtwo. That's cool, and yeah. Also, sorry for the tangent, but here's Homeworld Countess, and wow,
This is bad. I agree. Mm-hmm. Ooba dooba.
that was horrible. I'm playing as Ganondorf. I'm gonna down air the home run contact, and I'm gonna launch him with his neutral B by doing it in the opposite direction. Amazing. But yeah, here's home run contest. You have 10 seconds to build as much damage to this sandbag, and then you launch him with a home run bat, or as I did, a Warlock Punch with Ganondorf because he's powerful, and you see how far it goes. Simple as it sounds. You may get a trophy if the sandbag lands in the right spot, but it's random, so you'll never know. It's a fun little neat mode. I appreciate the addition, and it's been a staple of the Smash series since. Weirdly enough, Ultimate did not get it until a free DLC update, but it did eventually get it, and it's the best it ever got because now it has so many flashy effects, and the sandbag, you see the sandbag actually enjoying it, which is... Also, I just showcased Cruel Melee. I decided to put his Pichu because, well, might as well put him out of his misery. But yeah, it's Cruel, so yeah. So I think right now what I'm gonna do is some matches. There was Tournament Melee and Special Melee that were added, and Tournament Melee is pretty much 64 players can duke it out in the tournaments, and yeah, I think that's pretty cool, If, you can just pass the controls off to a different people and just make a whole big party up in this bitch, and I think that's pretty cool. There's also Special Melee, which back in Melee, it was a bit limited. Like, okay, it was like stuff like, oh, you have stamina battles, you have some other battles like Invisible Melee and stuff like that. It was a few modes. In Brawl, it started to become more customizable, where you can set how big your characters want to be, what special effects you want to be, if you want stamina or not, and then eventually stamina in Ultimate became its own separate mode, which is pretty cool. In terms of characters, I mean, what are the characters? I mean, Fox got Falco as an initial character. We got Dr. Mario, Peach, and Bowser for the Mario series. That's cool. Samus is still Samus, and the Kirby is still Kirby. They wouldn't get more reps until later. But it's interesting to see how many characters got added into this game. It's cool, honestly. Even if a lot of them had to be clones of characters because they only had so much time, I still appreciate the roster that we did get, even if, again, there's a lot of clones. The stage variety also is way bigger than last time because, wow, like, we went from 9 stages to, like, what, 20-something? I forgot, but, like, it's a lot of stages, and we even got free from Smash 64 returning, and that's pretty cool, too. There's a lot of variety, there's a lot of crazy shit going on, there's stuff like Big Blue, like, well, first of all, Captain Falcon and Ness finally got stages of their own, which is awesome. And they're also, like, they have a lot of shit going on, and I like that. Big Blue is you're basically fighting on top of cars, and it's all going by very fast. And like, whoa, this is insane. I love it. There's also stages like Congo Jungle, which was later renamed to Congo Falls because it's the same name as the Smash 64 stage. So kind of funny. It's also an interesting stage with an waterfall in the background. I like the layouts. It's pretty cool. This is just a lot of stuff. And then they finally made Battlefield and Final Destination, as you're seeing, fully playable. They have different designs. They would be getting different designs as you go along each game, but it's it's cool that you're able to finally play on these stages, and they're more competitive, which is nice. So compared to the fact that I'm doing the meme, Fox only, no items, Final Destination. I should have put 4 stocks instead of 3, but oh well. I kind of didn't remember in the moment. So because Fox is a top tier character in this game. Lots of shines, lots of commands, and lots of wave dashing. Oh boy. But don't worry, I am an epic gamer, and I defeat this fox no problem. Watch it as I knock him out in a couple of seconds. 3, 2, 1. Not yet. Now it should be it. Yeah. And I was trying to just shine him, but that didn't work. So, oops. Mission complete. It's so interesting how Fox and Falco were voiced by their Japanese actors in Smash 64 and Melee, even though they already had English voice actors with Star Fox 64 and a different set of voice actors in Star Fox Adventures, which they did bring over those voice actors for this game, which this game predates Star Fox Adventures, so it was kind of like a tease for things, because the next Star Fox game at that time was Star Fox Adventure, was being handled by Rare, so that was interesting. Like we actually got actors who were part of Rare at the time, like Chris Seaver, to voice in this game, but they only appear in like specific conversations that you hear in Adventure Mode if you do some certain things. I think I showed it off earlier in the commentary, so yeah. Yeah, there's a lot to discuss with Melee, because this was, for a lot of people, the Smash game for like many years, 7 years basically, because this game came out in 2001. We wouldn't get the next Smash Bros. Game until 2008, and that Smash Bros. Game wouldn't even be announced until 2006. But I find Melee very interesting because it's a game that came out very early in the GameCube's life cycle, and so much changed during that system's life cycle. Like, a lot of characters got brand new designs, a lot of new elements and characters were introduced. Like, just look at the Mario series. The Mario characters got a redesign during the GameCube era with Super Mario Sunshine and the Mario Party games, and a lot of new characters like Toadette and Toadsworth and new environments and all that stuff, and Luigi's Mansion happened, and a lot of stuff got introduced around this time. So Melee is very much representative of still that late Nintendo 64 era, but it's like seeing those Nintendo 64 designs being brought over to a higher fidelity, which is very interesting. It's like this game feels like a time capsule in many ways, and the trophies help solidify that. Like I said earlier, a lot of trophies are like old characters that a lot of people didn't know, but they all have their own unique models. So you see like somewhat modern representations, like 2001 representations of characters from like the 80s, like Ayumi Takibana, like you see her being represented as if she was like in 3D with the 2001 model, but still having somewhat like their old design. Or Daisy, like at that time she still had her old design, but being represented like in a higher polygon model. That's very interesting. Like, this game really does feel like a time capsule, and I find it fascinating. That's one thing that I really like about Melee, is that it has its own charm, and that's something that I do kind of, looking back, I remember saying that I found that Smash 64 had more charm than Melee, and in some aspects I still stand by that, but in retrospect I feel like Melee has its own charm by being this time capsule of stuff that was happening at the time. I do feel like Smash 64 has aged a bit better. Like, this game did want to go for a more realistic art style, and it's not bad. It's still very colorful. It's not like Brawl, where they made the characters a bit more muted, which, in that aspect, it has its own unique charm, but I'm getting ahead of myself. But, because the game's still using those older designs, it hasn't aged the best, even if the models are very well constructed, and the stages are very well constructed, and the game looks very good. It's just that there's a part of it that hasn't aged as well, unlike Smash Bros. 4, which, yes, I guess some people could argue that that game hasn't aged that well because of the low polygon count, even with characters like Donkey Kong's model not even being that great for that year, even for 1999. But it has its own unique charm with the animations, the sound effects, the comic book art style that they had going for it in the Japanese box art and the manual and stuff like that. That is very cool, you know? I don't know. I guess this whole charm thing can be very subjective, and it's something that it's very hard to quantify or even qualify because charm is different for each person. Like, for example, kind of reminds me of this British animation studio, Hardman. You know, they're well known for Wallace and Gromit, Chicken Run, and a lot of claymation kind of stuff. But they've also produced some CGI movies. And a lot of people like say that, oh, what sets this company apart from a lot of other companies, animation companies, that you know their shorts, their animation is very charming. But how charming is it? What kind of charming are we talking about? You just feel it. That's the thing. You just feel that charm, and you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. It's just pretty cool. You know, I just find that pretty cool. But yeah, this commentary, I think there's still a bit left to it. Yeah, as I'm showcasing right now, the coin battles, and the coin battles, what they're basically are is that you gain coins by damaging your opponents, and you get even more coins by knocking them out. The more coins you get by the end of the game, you win. There are time matches. I put only 1 minute just to keep things simple. I didn't really want to make it big because coin battles, they've just kind of been ignored by a lot of people, and I'll be honest, me too, because I just kind of forget about them. Most people prefer playing stock battles with a time limit. That's normally how it goes. But I do like that Smash Ultimate brought in stamina battles as a main mode. And you can make stamina battles with like a time limit or stocks, you know, or I believe, and that's pretty cool. But yeah, after like Smash 4, coin battles were really brought over again, and I don't know, I guess there was not much of an incentive for people to play coin battles. I mean, there was this game where you can unlock a trophy by like playing 100 of coin battles, which is like without counting in betweens like selecting characters and loading screens and stuff like that. You're basically playing 100 minutes of coin battles if you set coin battles towards 1 minute only, which is ay ay ay. But yeah, All Star. Like I said earlier, it is an endurance round where you fight all of the characters in the game with alternate costumes, which is interesting. You at first only fight like one character at a time, but then eventually you fight two characters at a time, and then by the end you fight three characters. The last character you always fight is Mr. Game & Watch, which is his battle is very different because it's a bunch of Mr. Game & Watches coming at you, but they're easy to knock out. Just so hopefully there's no bomb that comes out of nowhere and fucking blows you off the stage. Yeah. But the big thing about All-Star is that you only have one life. If you lose, that's it. You gotta restart. But unlike, you know, but you know what? But I do find it interesting because between each battle, you get this rest area that is showing right now. Actually, the song that's being played, that plays during the rest areas, is a remix of the rest area theme from Kirby Superstar, which is pretty cool. You'd see that in the Great Cave Offensive, one of the many modes of that game. And basically, you can restore your health with those free art containers between stages. So if you feel like you're close to dying or you don't want to risk it, you can use one of those art containers. But of course, they do not respawn. After you waste all three, that's it. You gotta toughen out for the rest of the modes. So you gotta be very strategic with that kind of stuff, you know? Also, I think something that I find very funny is that in All-Star, if you in the rest area, if you go too much on white side, like if you go too much to the left or right to kill yourself, you can end All-Star early, and yeah, I mean you end it by like you kill yourself, you don't finish it. That's it. But I find it interesting that they give you the option. It's like if you wanted to leave All-Star mode, I could just pause and then do that combination of buttons LRAZ, and then I'll just leave. I find interesting that they give you that option. Okay, I guess. But yeah, that's pretty much a Super Smash Bros. Melee. I mean, I think we still have a few minutes, so let me just go fast about the other stuff. I mean, this commentary has pretty much been focused on Melee, unlike the last one, which was focused on my Smash history. But I guess even with I guess that's because have that much to talk about with Melee, because I do have my criticisms about this game. There's been something very interesting, which is as of late, I have been doing many reviews on Backlogged, which is the site which is similar to Letterboxd. If you guys don't know what Letterboxd is, it's a site where you can log in your movies and review them and stuff like that. Backlog is pretty much the same thing, but for games. And I've been doing more reviews on there and stuff like that. And something that I kind of want to do one day is reviews on Smash Bros. Games, because I feel like I have plenty to talk about. If this commentary is any indication of that, or the last Smash Bros. Commentary, or any indication of that, is that I have plenty to talk about with these games. Absolutely. And I love to put that in like a text form. Maybe one day I could even do a video review on that. That would be interesting, but I don't see myself doing video reviews for a long time because, well, I like doing these commentaries because they're simpler and I could just ramble. I don't have a script for these. I could just ramble and talk about whatever the fuck I want. But, I have been thinking about potentially doing videos that are not commentaries, I did that PDI video last year. I'm glad I got a good response. I know I could have done better with that video, but I do like that people generally like that video. And I also did the European Portuguese stuff of Johnny and that was fun to make. That was fun to make, and it made me think. What other video projects I could do in the future, and I have had some ideas actually. Especially one in particular that I would like to do somewhat soon-ish. No promises. I don't want to promise because I don't want to potentially date this video as dated as this video probably can be, because, that's the thing that I've always said with these commentaries, is that they're always going to be dated. Like, think of them, always look at when these commentaries came out, because, last year I talked about, I still remember during my first commentary, the Super Metroid one, I talked about how the Switch 2 will probably come out next year, which at the time was 2034. But then what happened is that there was reports that said the Switch 2 is probably going to be delayed to next year, and it's like, wow. At the time of recording, we still don't know about that system, and we don't know when it will be announced and stuff like that. So it's all a mystery right now. But considering that recent Nintendo Direct had a lot of Switch 1 games that were announced, we won't be starving for Switch content anytime soon. Even if that platform is weaker than its competitors, PS5 and Xbox Series X and S, it has been having a much more healthy life cycle because, there's barely any droughts. Nintendo hasn't, because of its weaker hardware, and Nintendo can just optimize stuff very well. It's really cool, and I hope the Switch 2 continues that way, so that the video game industry can be more healthy, And that's something that I kind of want, because with PlayStation, games have been very slow. With Xbox, don't even get me started on that. But with Nintendo, they've just been pumping out games, and pretty good ones of that. Not everything is perfect. There's been some stuff that, people can complain about, but in terms of game output and quality, pretty good. And you can still have fun with the Switch, even though it's using technology from 2015, and this is coming out in 2017. So, yeah, and some third-party ports are not the greatest, and hopefully the Switch 2 can rectify that, even if just by a bit. But yeah. It's being very interesting being a Nintendo fan, because of all the stuff that's been happening. And then there's Marvel, but one step at a time here. One day. Like I said in the last commentary, I know I'll discuss it in the future. But yeah, as we're getting close to ending the commentary, I might as well just kind of recap my thoughts on this game, which is Melee is my least favorite Smash Bros. Game. It is a game that I have troubles with in its repetition, in its tedium of doing tasks, in unlocking all its characters and stages, and look how cool this game 1 stage is, but I'm getting sidetracked. I got to at least talk about it. But, and a lot of other stuff. But Melee also is really cool. And while I do prefer Smash Bros. 4 and any other Smash Bros. Game over Melee because Melee just have a lot of grievances behind it. That again, yeah, I do also have grievances with your Smash Bros. Games, but we'll get to them when we get to them. Melee is still a game that I do enjoy. I do enjoy Super Smash Bros. Melee, and I have fond memories, even if not all of those memories are really that great because losing that save file and winning 20 hours with Mito and getting my ass beat in Event 37 and you guys get it. You guys get it. So, now I'm properly showcasing the credit sequence. Yeah, I do like that the credit season in this one is kind of like an evolution of the Smash 64 credit series where you shot names, but now all the names are coming back and forth, and there's a lot more names to go about this time around because the development team just grew that much larger. And also, controlling the analog stick is kind of finicky, gotta be honest. I'm not sure if this is an emulation thing or if it's a GameCube thing. I don't know, but it's really finicky to control the analog stick during the credit sequence. I don't know, but I do like this credit sequence, and the song in the credits is different depending on which character you play. It is kind of sad not having a specific credit sequence, but a credits theme, but you know, I like this credit sequence. So yeah, Melee, I enjoy. It's my least favorite Smash game, but I do enjoy. And after I made this commentary, I want to get my thoughts out there and also make this commentary as a stopgap until we even get to the eventual Brawl commentary. So yeah, that's my thoughts on Super Smash Bros. Melee. I hope you guys enjoyed this commentary, and have yourselves a damn good one. See you next time.
Congratulations!